that's who. Who put all this shit together, bitch? Me, that's who.
We have so much to be proud of in Britain, but one of the problems in our society is that we have generations of young people who don't have the opportunities they deserve. Britain today faces a future that is more dangerous and more divided. There's no doubt our democratic values are under threat. That is why we will introduce a bold new model of national service for 18-year-olds, to be spent either in a competitive full-time military commission over 12 months, or with 1 weekend per month volunteering in roles within the community, like delivering prescriptions and food to infirm people, or in search and rescue. Young people will gain valuable skills, make our country more secure, and build a stronger national culture. This ambition benefits our country and our young people alike. Just look at Sweden, where 80% of young people completing national service say they'd recommend it to their friends. Uncertain times call for a clear plan and bold action to chart a course to a secure future. Our plan will ensure new generations and our country meet the challenges of the uncertain world. Keir Starmer and Labour don't have a clear plan and won't take the bold action to navigate to a more secure future.
Okay, so you hear what's going on. A proposed national service for 18-year-olds. Now, I've got two different opinions on this. I'm going to go with the controversial opinion first.
Cool.
Now, the controversial opinion is this. Right now, we're living in crazy times. It's crazy times we're living in. And I don't mean by crime and all that kind of stuff, because there's always going to be crime. Let's keep it real. What I mean is we have lost the basics, or we are losing the basics. Basic things that were implemented back in the days. I'm a 37-year-old, so back in the days isn't that long ago. But these things were implemented, and I'm going to give some examples. Children swearing in front of parents. Children being in, things like relationships and things like that at young ages. The way our people speak to their parents. The way our people speak to other elders. The way our people speak to other adults. The way our people carry themselves. There's a lot of problems in society today, and a lot of it is down to bad parenting. A lot of these children that are coming out of the home behave a certain way out of the home because they're allowed to behave that way in the home. Now, what's happened is, back in the old school days, if you was behaving like that, there would be another adult in the community who could say, yo, what you doing? Or it could maybe be your school teacher. It could maybe be an older child. So let's say you're like a 12-year-old. It could have been a 16-year-old. Let's say it could have been an auntie, an uncle. It could have been an older sibling. It could have been anybody to be able to pull you to one side and say, yo, what you doing is wrong. Even if you didn't want to listen to your parents, there would be somebody else. But what's happening in today's world is, there's nobody. There's nobody who can. These youth now, teachers can't tell them nothing. Elders can't tell them nothing. No authority figure can tell them anything anywhere they go. So what happens is they walk through life behaving a certain way until that day comes when accountability comes into play.
Yes.
So with the national service now, I'm saying, my man ain't saying, what I'm listening to what he's saying there, he's not saying they're going to send a man into war, There are certain authority, or should I say there are certain procedures that need to happen in one's life to understand how to navigate through life. So things like timekeeping.
Yes.
Let's just keep it real. Timekeeping, basic things like that.
Vital.
Basic things are now missing. So what I'm saying is maybe this national service situation may help implement some of these things, because we're at a place now where there is none of that. A man can just
Structure.
pick, these youth are just free to go through life as they please, because the parent had them when they were 16, 17,
14,
18, yeah.
14.
So it's a friend. It ain't a parent.
Yep.
It's a friend. A lot of these parents, like there's a thing now, like on social media, that's becoming more and more popular, where they'll say, look at her mom, say which one's the mom. So they'll take a picture of the mom and the daughter standing together, and then they'll say, which one's the mom? Now, I'll be looking at that and I'm like, that ain't a good thing. I should be able to tell who's the mom.
Yes.
But what it is now
Stop
it's
there,
like,
stop
the
there.
younger you are, come true, Noble.
Before I'll let you carry on, but that's a very important point, and it's a slight diversion. But how would you be able to tell? Obviously, the wonders of melanin, yeah, we don't age like that. But how would you tell a mother and a daughter generally going back to our time growing up? It's the attire, right? The
Yep.
mother is going to be dressed one way, and the child is going to be dressed another way, which would denote children's attire, or young child, young adult, and a big woman. That's how she's going to dress and conduct and carry herself, right?
Exactly.
This episode is sponsored by Supreme of the UK. Click the link in the description and support the broadcast.
Exactly. That's missing now. So now that's being pushed. Now, what I'm trying to say is, that's why we're in the position we are in now, with how children carry themselves. Back in the day at school, I'll just keep it real right now. When I used to be at school, we used to see white children swearing at their parents and, yo, F off, mum. And I remember, big up my bedroom, Vaughn, big up Gabriel, back in primary school. We used to look at each other and say, yo, we just, that was just unheard of in our world.
Of course.
But let me tell you something right now. That's normal
Yeah.
in a lot of black households now.
Unfortunately.
So my thing is this: bring in some sort of infrastructure.
Structure.
Come true, Noble.
Structure, simply.
And then I'll come with the part 2 after that.
Yeah, man. Listen. You drop in here, nothing but jewels, nothing but facts, and you're backing it up with lived experience. You know what I mean? To bring it forth in the Gregorian year of 2024, children and adults lack structure, and this is not just part of the parents, these young adults, these young teenagers, these 13, 14-year-old mothers to be, or mothers now, right? How has this all come to pass? As we all see, there's layers and there's ways and there's threads to this web that we're all in, unfortunately. Now, at some point, what did the governmental system do? They promoted the fact that you can be a teenage mother, and we'll give you a house and we'll give you all that stuff, without going through the intricacies, which we've done many times before. They have set the scene and allowed the dominoes to fall. So now we're at a point where no structure, no guidance, no stability. There's a handful of parents raising children, and we have the majority dragging up kids, baby goats, running around like animals. And as law-abiding citizens, as upright people just trying to do our best, we have to mix with these beings, these lower forms, unfortunately, because of how they've been not raised, not to show respect for themselves, number one. Because let's look at it. If you don't respect yourself, how are you going to respect anybody else? Exactly. That's one of the most basic things. They don't respect themselves. They've never been taught how to respect themselves. So there's no structure, there's no love. Then that's going to be amplified. And we see what we got now. So now the government, after 20 odd years of this, they're like, okay, it's election time. The 4th of July, how can I get the votes in? Let's use a very emotive and a very practical means to garner support, so I can remain in this thing. And as Mark says, we need the structure. I've got no issue at all. Look, back in the day, how many people had friends, if they didn't do it themselves, who were in the territorial army? Now, depending on your background and who you associate with, it may not be many, but if you had a wide friend group, I can guarantee you're going to have at least two people, male and potentially female, who every weekend they're putting on fatigues and stuff. And I'm like, well, as a youngster, I didn't understand it fully. I just thought it was, it's like the Scouts, it's like flipping, what's the other one? The Navy one, the Sea Cadet somethings. It's all of these structures and processes that do what? Gives you experiences, enriching you as an individual. And let's look at the army thing now. That should be standard, boss. That should be standard. Compulsory and voluntary military service, Cape Verde, Bermuda, Colombia, Kuwait, Mali, Russia, Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, selective, conscription, which is what we're talking about now, Benin, Brazil, Cape Verde, Chad, El Salvador. I can go on, Niger, Vietnam, Sweden. Come on, like what we Angola, civilian, unarmed, and non-combative service options, where you will serve Cyprus 18 months as a civilian and then 14 armed. Yeah. You're having opportunities to be a man. What do they do? What in Russia? What's going on in Russia? Huh? What? They're messing about, are they? Or do they have to do conscription as well? They have to go serve. Korea, China. Come on, what are we talking about? What's happening over there? I know it's not a democracy, quote unquote, and we're talking about more communist places. But look how the things are, man. They're just destroying this whole thing, boss. And then they're waving the carrot as the solution. So we create the problem, we smash the windows, and then we say, yo, listen, your windows are broken. I've got a guy, he'll fix your windows for 50 quid. That's the solution.